this summit is recorded, so we're going to broadcast the whole content of the summit early next year in order to reach out Canadians and Europeans and to counter attack this pandemic situation. So here with the final stage, with the closing remarks, we have the honor and privilege to welcome Sara Wilshaw. She's the Chief Trade Commissioner of Canada, directly from Ottawa, Canada, and as we say on a frequent basis here in Brussels, last but not the least. So I give the floor to Sara. You can present yourself actually, and Trade Commissioner's role in Canada and abroad, outside in Canada, and more specifically in Europe. Sara.
Well, thank you so much. Really hard to sneak into a room quietly when you see your face go up on the big screen there. So apologies for having interrupted the last panel, which was really interesting. So I am Sara Wilshaw. I'm the Chief Trade Commissioner of Canada and Assistant Deputy Minister at Global Affairs Canada, responsible for international business development, investment, and innovation. But more importantly, I get to lead a really amazing team of 1,500 people in 160 locations around the world who are there to help Canadian businesses do business around the world, who are there to help facilitate investments into Canada, who are there to help grow our innovation partnerships and our science and technology relationships and all kinds of other really great things that the team does. So, and that is my great honor and privilege to lead. So bonjour à tous et toutes. Good morning to those in Canada. Good afternoon, good evening to those in Europe. And before I go any further, please allow me to take just a second here and acknowledge that I'm joining you virtually from the traditional and the unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people in the city of Ottawa. Thanks so much for the warm welcome and really congratulations to Sam and to the whole team on a really great event. Looking back at the discussions today, I think we can all agree a lot of ground's been covered, a lot of areas of mutual interest and huge opportunity, and it is amazing to see this level of engagement. So really excited about that. And you've also even had a virtual visit from the Honourable Mary Ng, Canada's Minister of Small Business, Export Promotion, International Trade. So not sure how exactly I can top that, but I am certainly grateful to have a chance to try and offer some of my own comments and reflections to help close out this summit. Je tiens également à remercier nos partenaires des gouvernements provinciaux et territoriaux et des sociétés d'État qui travaillent avec nous pour assurer la prospérité du Canada grâce au commerce international. C'est vraiment une collaboration positive et efficace. And let me also take the opportunity to acknowledge our own team at Canada's mission to the EU for helping to bring everybody together today for this event and discussing the amazing array of trade and investment opportunities between Canada and the EU, opportunities that can help our businesses to recover from the pandemic. And this is really where we need to be focused. Of course, I would also like to thank the many representatives of European and Canadian businesses of all sizes here today. Thank you for your time, your energy, and your interest. I sure hope that you found it useful. We also really want you to stay in touch with us. Keep talking to us. Keep helping us to do better and to help you succeed. As we've seen with the panels today on life sciences and health and food and agriculture, energy, environment, investment, everybody, you're all coming from a really wide array of sectors, all of which have great opportunities for Canada-EU partnership, and we want to see more of that. The last year and a half has been tough. So I need to even say it. Challenging personally, challenging professionally, particularly for businesses, and I am acutely aware that we are not out of the woods yet. The Omicron variant here has really I think thrown up a whole new set of questions and concerns, and we need to keep plugging forward on that front for sure. But in terms of what what has happened in the last couple of years, some pretty amazing things, some big changes. It's changed the way we trade. It's changed the way we do business. It's changed all kinds of relationships. It's forced us all to adapt and to be incredibly innovative. And I've had a lot of discussions over the last couple of years with Canadian businesses, with foreign businesses as well, and with a lot of our colleagues around how we can use trade and investment promotion to help build back better and create that even more resilient economy going forward. And one of the things that comes up often in those conversations is just how we can encourage and support our companies better to use things like trade agreements like CETA to scale up and to access global markets in more and more meaningful ways. So, your participation in today's summit really underscores that our international trade and investment partnership and the opportunities it creates can be a super powerful engine that will help drive that economic recovery. And certainly get us ahead together. Le Canada et l'Union européenne sont des importants partenaires commerciaux. The EU, this kind of goes without saying, we're important partners. The EU accounts for approximately 15% of total world trade. That's attractive. It's Canada's most important trading partner after the United States, and geography, I think, simply dictates that for us. Canada's the EU's 11th largest trading partner. Well, we can do better, I'm sure. Fourth largest source of FDI. Et ce partenariat s'est élargi et approfondi après avec notre accord de libre-échange. Thanks to CETA, you can leverage preferential access and reduce barriers to trade across the market. And I'm sure you've already heard this today, but let me just say one more time that 98% of Canadian and EU tariff lines are now duty-free for your exported goods. And this is an amazing opportunity for both Canadian and EU exporters. Since its launch in 2017, CETA has been delivering results for Canadian and for European businesses. It was certainly worth the effort put into creating that really amazing world-class and sort of a gold standard agreement that we did. It opened up opportunities for all kinds of greater collaboration and expansion. And after 4 years of provisional application, CETA has led to a pretty impressive expansion of our relationship. We're now at 63 billion euros in two-way merchandise trade in 2020. So let's just look at, one area of example there on environmental technology. So thanks to CETA, we're facilitating cross-Atlantic deployment of environmental technologies like wind turbines, electric batteries, energy-efficient manufacturing through eliminating the tariffs, as well as the exchanges that we have on services and know-how. And that is the comprehensive part. It goes beyond the tariffs. We're seeing the results. In 2019 alone, total bilateral trade of environmental goods grew 17.2% as compared to pre-CETA levels, and the B2B collaboration is also growing alongside that. Happy to say that the trade expansion has also been broad-based and inclusive. More Canadian SMEs are now exporting to the EU, and they're doing business with a greater number of EU SMEs. Canadian women entrepreneurs increasingly successful in the EU market, particularly in the services market, and we're really excited to see where that can go. And our investment numbers, just as impressive as the trade numbers. The stock of Canadian investment in EU was 142 billion euros in 2019, which is up 24.5% from 2016. And in the other direction, pretty balanced actually. The stock of EU FDI in Canada is 184 billion euros, which shows almost a 30% growth from 2016, 28.7% to be precise. So you just heard the Invest in Canada panel. And I'd like to emphasize that for all the reasons mentioned, Canada is open for business and very welcoming to foreign investment, especially from Europe. Despite the many challenges that COVID has presented, this agreement that we have continues to deliver results. So, and I'll just highlight another example, a Toronto-based company called Greenfield Global. They are a global leader in the production of alcohols and solvents that are vital to a low-carbon economy. They're new EU manufacturing headquarters just opened in Ireland about a year and a bit ago. And their investment is expected to grow, and it's creating 75 new jobs in the next several years. Also, Ballard Power Systems. I think you heard from them earlier today on the Energy and Environment panel. Ballard est un fournisseur de premier plan de solutions novatrices en matière d'énergie propre et des piles à combustible. Ils ont réalisé plusieurs projets en France, par exemple, des moteurs à piles à combustible pour alimenter 8 trambus dans la ville de Pau, dont je crois comprendre le premier bus à hydrogène en France. So that's pretty exciting too. So taking advantage of CETA makes a lot of sense because the EU is one of the largest economies in the world. We already know this, and our second largest trading partner with a dynamic market, 450 million consumers. You can't really ignore that. Major importer of goods and services, highly complementary kind of economy and demand, and lots of opportunity for Canadian business. Even in 2020, we have seen that bilateral merchandise trade was more than 12.5% higher than pre-CETA levels. So not only is the trade agreement working, but EU-Canada trade has demonstrated that it is incredibly resilient. And why? Why is it so resilient? Well, it's because our relationship with between Canada and the EU goes a long way beyond trade. We have a long, deep history and a great, solid relationship that is broad and based on mutual trust. Nous sommes unis par des valeurs communes, notamment un engagement en faveur de la démocratie, de l'égalité des sexes, des droits de la personne, de la promotion du droit et de l'action climatique mondiale. Et cela rend notre collaboration si naturelle. So let me highlight a couple of opportunities for the partnership to grow, though, because we can always do better, right? We can always do more. The joint statement adopted at the Canada-EU Summit in June emphasized the security of critical minerals and metals value chains as a common priority. So this is an area where we can do more. Both are essential, both those kind of critical minerals, metals, that's essential to the transition to a climate neutral and digital economy, and it will create good jobs. So we want to foster competitive Canada-EU supply chains, things that we can do together and then take out to the world as well. So the leaders established a strategic partnership on raw materials, and I think that's going to be really exciting. Prime Minister Trudeau has been very clear. The market for many critical minerals has been cornered in the past by some less reliable and less like-minded suppliers, and that creates an opportunity for trusted partnerships. And while we have supplies from places, we know that the supplies from places with higher environmental and labor standards, like Canada, might cost a bit more. The resilience and the reliability of the supply from best friends like us is a trade-off that people are waking up to, particularly post-pandemic. And those are the words of the Prime Minister. Critical raw materials represent an important opportunity for our business partnerships. For example, Canadian companies can provide the resources and the technologies to help the EU's green and digital transition. We know that that is a priority for you as well. So that summit also committed Canada and the EU to deepen cooperation on a suite of digital issues, from AI to a free, secure, and open internet. And that cooperation will deepen through the digital dialogue, but also in broader forum like the Global Partnership on AI, which came out of the G7. Joint initiative of Canada and France. The GPAI has now 19 members, including the EU, and I think our leadership jointly on this, in this space, in digital and in AI, represents another great opportunity for business partnerships to grow as well. So for the Canadian companies here today, the Government of Canada is really keen to support you with the resources and the information that you need to succeed. Our Team Canada approach, which Minister Ng likes to call Canada's trade toolkit, includes Export Development Canada, and I know you heard from them today as well, Business Development Bank of Canada, Canada Commercial Corporation, or CCC, for government-to-government contracting, Investing Canada, you heard from them, and of course the Trade Commissioner Service. But I also heard Antoine mention just now the importance of cooperation with our provincial and territorial partners, and I mentioned at the outset that how grateful I am to them for our close collaboration, and that is a really important point too. So for those of you who are not familiar with the service, as I said, we've got folks in 160 cities around the world and across Canada. But what we really do well is connect people to opportunities, to funding, to support programs, and to networks that are incredibly valuable all around the world. And this includes all of the CETA markets. Notre soutien s'est concentré sur la sécurisation des chaînes d'approvisionnement et la mobilisation d'un plus grand nombre de PME et des propriétaires d'entreprises de tous les horizons et de toutes les identités pour qui se joint au rang des exportateurs, notamment par la biais du commerce électronique et de partenariats novateurs. To the Canadian exporters with us today, or those considering exporting, please know we've heard you, and we know that it can be difficult to sort out the rules and the opportunities and the trade agreements, and it can be very, very complex. And you don't always have a lot of time to focus on these sorts of things because you're busy running your companies and growing your companies. So what I want to say today is that we're here to help you do that. We are here to help you navigate the EU businesses, the regulatory environment, and to support your efforts to expand in the European Union markets. The TCS can also help Canadian and European businesses with opportunities and contacts to help you leverage CETA to its full capacity. And to all businesses here today, knowing that you came to today's summit to build more bridges and deepen ties between Canada and the EU is inspiring. Thank you. I really look forward to hearing about all the things that you've learned and to taking a few questions. Merci beaucoup, et je passe la parole back to you in Brussels.
Okay, back to Brussels. I was told to ask you at least one question before you leave, actually. So here's the question. Climate change is a top priority international file. And we have recently at COP26 in Glasgow, Scotland. How can Canada and the EU work together to advance global climate change ambition?
It's great to have an opportunity to talk about this because obviously this is a top priority for this government. For those of you who pay close attention to this, and it's important that we do. The Trudeau government has come back in recently with a very clear climate agenda. There's no question about that. This was, I think, underscored at COP26. And our partnership with the EU on this is going to be really important. So we worked closely with the EU counterparts at COP26, looking at things like putting a price on carbon at the global level, phasing out coal domestically and in terms of financing coal abroad, reducing global methane emissions, making the transition to clean energy technologies, supporting developing countries to adapt to the impacts of climate change, and looking for nature-based solutions to climate change that also protect biodiversity in the lands and the oceans, including Indigenous-led stewardship initiatives. So that's a tall order, and we worked really closely together on all of that. We've all set new ambitious targets. And certainly looking at 40 to 45% emissions reductions by 2030, net zero by 2050. That's not insignificant. And put a price on pollution that is going to $170 a ton by 2030. So we've also doubled a climate finance pledge to $5.3 billion by 2026. So those are some pretty important pieces. And we were really pleased to have President von der Leyen attend the Carbon Pricing Leadership Coalition event. That was November 2nd. And she joined the Prime Minister there to recognize carbon pricing as one of those most efficient ways to get on that path to net zero. So it's obviously not an endpoint. It's kind of it was a milestone, right? COP26. There's a long way to go, but it's like keeping that pressure on is really important, and working together to do that is absolutely essential. So we want to make sure now that the industry has a really clear opportunity to position itself globally and through partnerships with partners in the EU. So we want to keep using every bilateral, multilateral lever and opportunity that we have to advance the progress and to create more and more opportunities globally.
I think that was a very complete answer. Thank you very much for that. I've got another one. Can you repeat that? There's a delay.
I said just off the top of my head.
That's very good. I've got another question for you, more specifically about CETA, more specific question into CETA. Could you tell us about the tools Canadian services export companies can turn to in order to learn more about CETA benefits and take advantage of the agreement?
Yeah, sure. And this is such a great question because a lot of folks still think that trade agreements are about tariffs and goods. And in fact, I was on a panel maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago, with a number of fantastic women exporters from Canada, and somebody had written to me in a side chat and said that they were interested in learning more about how we could help do business in the services sector. And I asked her where she was. She said, "Oh, I didn't know I was actually exporting." She was a services provider doing business internationally, but didn't realize that that was actually export. So it was. So it's not always obvious to everybody. But let me say it is also a little bit trickier in exporting services, right? You don't have a physical good, but we have a really good guide to assist exporters of services under CETA. So we know this, we know the challenges, and we've come up with a guide, and you can find it online, or you can just contact any one of our trade commissioners through the mission there. And just see what kind of things it's got in it, and if there's anything there that is either of interest or unclear, talk to us. We're really good at helping people to navigate these things. So there's lots of resources out there. We've got resources relating to almost every aspect of the agreement. They can be found on Global Affairs Canada's CETA website. It includes things, guides, tools, videos, contacts, everything you need to help navigate the market, but more importantly, reaching out to us. The services guide, just briefly, goes into depth on things like value-added tax rules, online and distance sales of services, as well as payments and transactions. So, not to mention kind of consumer rights, things you need to know, commercial practices, regulations, as well as the main principles and minimum social standards regarding the EU labor market. So these are all kinds of considerations when it comes to services and providing services exports abroad. So there's a lot to consider. As I say, there's a lot of information out there, but if you want help kind of walking through it, give us a shout.
All right, thank you very much. I think we've been through it all. Sara, I think it's a wrap-up. I think we've been through it all for this one-day summit. We have addressed several topics, several interesting inputs from very top-notch conference speakers from Canada and Europe. So from Ottawa, I thank you very much for your closing remarks, and hope to see you in Brussels very soon, and everybody actually. So it's thank you for coming in person and virtually. Now that we've been through this summit, you know that Canadians are here in Europe. You don't have to travel to Canada in order to get information for Canada, to invest in Canada, to get partnership with Canadians, and to be successful throughout the world through those free trade agreements. So thank you again very much for your presence here. That's a statement with that COVID situation. We've been through it. We've been meeting each other face to face. It's very important. And next year, this venue is going to be full house. See you next year. Thank you.